share with you a pretty brief training on cravings and why your cravings seem to be or are so incredibly powerful and what to do about them. And I'm going to cut right to the chase with cravings because, this is an issue that haunts a lot of clients, a lot of my followers, a lot of my students. They feel helpless or kind of overwhelmed by their cravings at times, particularly for things like sugar and chocolate, and they feel like that they are actually uncontrollable, that they have to actually follow through with that craving because their life just is absolutely kind of held up by this craving. So what I want to explain to you is why and how that happens and what you can actually do about it. So to understand this from a survival perspective, because we are, at the end of the day, we're creatures, we're animals, and we have, I believe, and we all have different theories of creation, evolution, so on and so forth. But however, if we just go with the idea that we've evolved or that we haven't, at the end of the day, we are primal creatures, and our primal drive and priority in life is to survive. So we have evolved, or we've been created to have mechanisms and systems and automations in place that ensure our survival. And of course, when we have those, when we have successful systems or procedures in place that mean that we survive, then of course we continue to implement those systems and procedures because they're effective, they work. So one of the things that has ensured our survival over the millennia, whatever, is that of the production of reward hormones or neurohormones, neurotransmitters. So I'm talking about, in particular, things like serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin. They're our feel-good neurotransmitters, and there are particular things that we can do or consume in our day-to-day life that will lead to the production of these neurotransmitters. And when we produce these neurotransmitters, we feel good. It's like, oh, it feels so good when you get a hug and it's like, oh, yummy, 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 yummy. There's a production of positive neurotransmitters happening there. That's why oxytocin is called the cuddle hormone or the breastfeeding hormone. Breastfeed, we produce oxytocin, good feeling. There's all these conditioning and associations being made when we're doing anything that produces oxytocin. Same deal with dopamine. You might be playing the pokies, and when you win, you produce dopamine. So this is why we get addicted to things that are a little unpredictable, because when we actually win, we produce dopamine, and that unpredictability can actually make it quite addictive because we keep going and we're not always going to get the response. It's not predictable. So we keep going till we get the response, get the dopamine. That's highly addictive. We keep going. So anything that produces these positive neurotransmitters in our life is going to be addictive. So what you also need to understand is, from a survival perspective, that anything high in sugar and fat was something that would produce large amounts of these positive neurotransmitters within our body, because that meant our survival. Sugar and fat are energy-dense components of our food. So when we're getting those things, our bodies are saying, yes, we're getting what we need to survive. This is good, we want more, we want more. Sugar and fat give a big bang for our buck in terms of what we're eating. It's going to give us a lot more fuel than if we were just eating plain protein or vegetables or berries or something like that. So whenever we encounter sugar or fat in our food supply or in something that we're eating, we're going to be producing these addictive neurotransmitters, and hence why we become addicted to chocolate, sugar, anything fatty, salty, so like our KFC or pizza, so on and so forth, because every time we eat them, we produce these neurotransmitters that make us feel so good. That is a very messy, perhaps, but nutshell explanation of how we get addicted to particular food products that are high in fat and sugar. It's a survival thing. Fundamentally, you're designed to get addicted to things high in fat and sugar. So we don't need to take it personally. This is something we're all susceptible to as human beings. So what can we do about it? Well, there are, thankfully, some things we can do about this, because if we can kind of preempt what happens before we go for these foods, then we're on the front foot. We can sort of perhaps navigate around and completely miss those cravings that can make us fall down. So think about it. If you're already feeling good, then you're not going to be looking for something to make you feel good. And the thing I love about neuroscience and what makes me such a geek about the brain and the body and the mind and all these sorts of things is the power we have to be able to produce positive neurotransmitters ourselves just by thinking about or imagining or visualizing certain things. So we've known for many years in neuroscience and Buddhism and studies of Buddhists and mindfulness understand that when we practice what we call compassion, which is kind of like sending loving kindness to another human being or another place or an event, when we practice visualizing sending love to another person, place, or event, it actually produces oxytocin within our system. It produces that natural feel-good cuddle hormone. So practicing compassion, we know we can prove scientifically, increases and improves the level of positive neurotransmitters within our body. So just by visualizing, imagining, focusing on sending love to another person, event, or place, group of people, you can actually feel really amazing. So we need to identify when we're feeling low, what causes us to feel low, and learning other techniques or practices that can help us feel good. Now, we don't want to go on this roller coaster of feeling good and bad and good and bad. It's much more helpful to learn how to feel more calm and even across the board. So there's so many parts to this. A lot of this is accepting that sometimes in life we're not going to feel great, that there are the lower or meh aspects of life, and that's normal, that there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you, and it's not personal. So acceptance is one key to being able to have that more even, balanced experience of life, where just understanding that yes, there are going to be moments that aren't so great, and that it's a normal part of the human experience, and actually it's essential to the human experience. We can't always be high and having positives all the time. There has to be the lows, just like there's light, there's dark, there's right, wrong, good and bad, so on and so forth, the sun and the moon. It's nature, it's how it occurs. There's always an equal and opposite to everything in life. So part of that is acceptance and understanding that it isn't personal and that it's okay, and to just stay with that and support and nurture yourself through any moments where you're not feeling the greatest. But the worst thing we can do is start to ask, what's wrong? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with the situation? It is a part of life. The next thing is to ask yourself, what do you need? This is one question that has absolutely transformed my life and the life of my clients when they use it too, is to ask, what do you need? And I often will close my eyes and just put my hands on my heart and I'll ask myself, what do I need? So if I'm not feeling so good, or I'm feeling anxious, or I'm not feeling quite right, I just ask myself, what do I need? Sometimes the answer that comes to me is I need a glass of water. Sometimes it's I want to chat to my mum. I need a hug. I need to go outside. I need to go and meditate. I need to get in nature. Sometimes it's really simple, and the simplicity of it can sometimes make you think that's not very helpful. But when we actually follow through and implement what we get, we will find it is as simple as the guidance that we get. So ask yourself, what do you need? And I want you, the next way to combat these cravings and overcome them and navigate your way around them and to make yourself feel good without needing an external feel good, is to practice some of the techniques that we know do work. And some of those involve some visualization or imagination. So just by closing your eyes and imagining cuddling your favorite person, whether it be your grandma, you can even visualize yourself as a kid, hugging your dad or your mum or your brother, whoever it is that brings you that warm, fuzzy feeling. It could be imagining your own children, cuddling your own children. It could be imagining also laying out in the sun, on the grass, or on the beach. Use your imagination, use the power of your visualization to get those feel-good hormones activated and being produced. And I assure you, it does work. Getting outside in the sunlight is another awesome way to promote the production of our positive neurotransmitters. So it will increase the levels of serotonin in our body to get out in the sun for 10 to 15 minutes a day. Obviously, we want to be sun smart about it, but it does make a noticeable difference, as does moving our bodies. It doesn't mean you need to go for a 3-hour hike or go to the gym and sweat it out for 2 hours. In fact, I encourage you that you don't do that. I just encourage you to get outside in nature, in the fresh air, or the cool air. It doesn't matter. Get a jacket, get an umbrella if you need to. Focus on breathing in the fresh air, being outside, feeling the elements, and just really welcoming them into you. Try as much as you can to get a bit of natural sunlight on your skin for a good amount of time, 10 to 15 minutes. This will help boost the production of positive neurotransmitters. Another time-proven process for producing positive neurotransmitters is meditation. I was never a meditation person. It was something that did not come naturally to me at all. In fact, I started with 2 minutes and I found that almost unbearable. To sit for 2 minutes was absolute torture. I used to sit there and set my timer on my phone, close my eyes, and I just, just do the best I could to keep my eyes closed and to sit still for 2 minutes. That's how I started meditation. And over the years, it became like I started with 2 minutes. I did it every day for 2 minutes until it felt right and natural to do 5 minutes. And then I did 5 minutes every day until then it felt right and natural to just increase it a little bit more. And I can tell you without doubt that meditation was the thing that got me through my period of depression and anxiety, as well as my time in nature and my walking. So everything I'm sharing with you, I know not just from the science and not just from the evidence about them, but I also know personally that they do work. And I know that the more I have invested in focusing on the non-food aspects of my life and asking myself, what do I need at that deeper emotional soul level? What do I really need? What am I really craving? What's really going on here? The more I've taken the focus away from the food and trying to combat and fight my actual food cravings and resist them and use my willpower, that's so ineffective. It never works. What you resist persists. So we just shift the focus over to, what do I need? What is this really about? What am I craving? What's my soul, my body really asking for here? And how can I get my brain working for me, to support me, to be able to produce positive neurotransmitters? So I've given you 4 maybe key ones there where there's a load of evidence, a load of research to prove that they work. So we've got compassion and loving kindness. A little Google search will tell you a lot more about that. It's something that we can all practice and we can all implement right from now. You don't have to go and buy it anywhere. You don't have to take a course. You don't have to buy a program or anything. You can just go and learn about what compassion is and start practicing it right now. The second one is if loving kindness and compassion doesn't really gel or resonate for you, visualize something that does feel good, whether that's laying out in the sun or laying on the grass or at the beach or being on a tropical island. Your imagination is so powerful. Visualize something that really feels good and go there and immerse in it for a good 5 minutes. Really go there, and your body doesn't know the difference between what's real or imagined, so it's going to produce these positive neurotransmitters of joy and bliss and energy, okay? The third one is to actually get outside, not just visualize it, but to get outside. Get some sun on your skin and breathe in the fresh air, get into the elements, and really just focus on soaking up some nature. We call this biophilia. It is medicine for the soul. It does make us feel better. Being outside is truly good for our bodies, minds, and souls. It's good for our physiology. It's good for our metabolism. It's good for our brain. And it will really help us be able to produce positive neurotransmitters and feel good. And the last one is some movement, you know, getting that movement happening and getting your heart pumping, your body moving, actually help to produce those positive neurotransmitters as well. But it must be something that you enjoy. Please don't go and push yourself into doing something you don't enjoy. It might be jumping on a little mini trampoline. It might be dancing, doing a little boogie in the house, you know, a little dance break. Woo! As long as it feels good. It might be walking out in nature, or it might be playing cricket with the kids in the garden. Whatever feels good for you, that's where you go. And sorry, there is a fifth one, which was meditation. Let's not forget the meditation. It's brilliant, it's beautiful. There are a zillion different ways to meditate, so don't be boxed in by the idea that meditation has to be a certain way. There are so many different ways. When I started with 2 minutes. I just focused on my breath, and I also laid down, which is what people say is not meditation, but it worked for me. And it got me into a practice of meditating eventually every day for at least 20 minutes. Today, I don't meditate every single day. I probably meditate less than ever in my life at the moment, but I do know when I need it, because I ask myself, what do I need? And sometimes the answer is meditation. I have integrated meditation into my life as a way of living, and that is what I call mindfulness, and that has absolutely changed my life and enables me to be much more aware of my state of mind and more able to adjust it and shift my thoughts, my focus, my visualization, so that I can produce those chemicals where I am feeling good. So the way around your cravings and to deal with the power of your cravings is, number one, understand that it's not personal, it's not your fault, it's the way you're designed. It's a survival mechanism. We are geared and designed to crave sugar and fat. It's just the way it is. And my biggest piece of advice is, instead of focusing on resisting your cravings and fighting your cravings and trying to use your willpower and, you know, putting in healthier alternatives is great. What's more useful, though, is to actually shift your focus to what it is you're really craving, what it is you really need, to focus on, mediating your stress levels so that you're more even in your moods and so that you feel good anyway. So you're not looking for that thing to make you feel better. I hope that makes sense. If you have more questions or you would like some more information on this, please feel free to email me. This is what I do day in, day out. I teach people how to feel good from the inside out, through what they're eating, through what they're thinking, through how they're relating to themselves, through how they're moving their bodies, how they're using their minds. This is my expertise. This is what I do. And that's Bridget, BRIDGET, at New Leaf, that's turning over a new leaf off a tree, nutrition.com.au. Bridget at newleafnutrition.com.au. You can find me online at www.newleafnutrition.com.au. It is my pleasure and an absolute privilege anytime I get to talk to one of you special souls. So please don't hesitate to be in touch with me and we can explore this further. First point of contact ever for me with a client is to do a free 20-minute appraisal, which is basically just us having a chat about what your health, fitness, happiness goals are, what's stopping you from getting there, and how I might be able to help. This just gives us a chance to feel out if we are a good fit or not for each other. And if we're not, then that's okay. Happy days. We both go our separate ways. If it does feel right and it does feel good, we can take the next step. But there's never any obligation. I just love truly to talk to you, to connect with you, to hear you, to be able to help in whatever way I can. I've been there. I know the struggle. And I also now know with complete confidence how to navigate out of those struggles and those stuck places. And it's my joy and pleasure to be able to teach you and share that with you. So I hope that's helped, but please do send through any questions or queries and also some feedback. Have a lovely day, guys, and I look forward to being in touch again soon. Bye.